people that you went to high school with who seem to have it all figured out, if you have siblings or older siblings or even your parents who had it all figured out by 30, it can feel like you're not doing something right. But the thing is that this timeline is completely arbitrary. It doesn't account for life's unexpected detours, and by golly, there are a lot. It's built on these outdated expectations that everybody's journey has to look the same. But so many people are different. So many people's lives are different. And so having this unspoken pressure to fit into a mold or to achieve a perfect life, not really perfect, but have all those things checked off by a certain age or by a certain year. It's just so unrealistic. And yet so many of us measure our worth by how closely we stick to it. Social media makes this even harder. And I know I talk about social media a lot on this channel. It's a commentary channel for the most part. It's kind of heading in that direction. But as someone who is a part of the social media world and puts their life on social media, not really their life, but basically creates content to put on social media, it's so easy to compare your real and messy life to other people's curated Instagram feeds or reels or TikToks or whatever they're doing. And not even content creators, but even friends. Like, you see them buying a house, you see them announcing their pregnancy, you see them announcing engagements and their wedding photos. And before I was married, I wanted so badly to be married. I was watching other people's wedding videos. Anytime someone got engaged that I knew, I would be filled with so much jealousy because I was like, I'm 25, 26, I'm not engaged yet. I've been married for 3 years. I don't really feel that jealousy anymore. Even with people who are announcing pregnancies, I know that's not in the cards for me yet. I know I'm not ready for that. And so I don't feel jealousy when people do that. But the thing is, most people don't showcase the messy or the real or their struggles, which is totally fine. People need to have a level of privacy in their lives, but this also creates that illusion that other people live a very, very perfect life, and it can make you feel like your life is a piece of garbage. But that timeline we talked about, the unspoken timeline that you need to have everything figured out by 30, this does not lead to fulfillment. Humans are naturally inclined to constantly want more. You can achieve one thing on the list or achieve everything on the list, but there is always the craving for more. And this timeline, trying to achieve everything, can lead to burnout and a lot of pressure. And what I've found is that it forces you to make decisions based on fear of
इंटरनेशनल सोशल मीडिया पटेल प्रहलाद भाई watching after subscribe share comment like
currently. Maybe your 20s are about exploring your passions, while somebody else's 20s might be about raising a family. Neither is wrong, it's just different. I know some of you might not believe in God, but I do, so I am going to speak about my faith on here. So if that bothers you, I'm not sorry. I am not sorry. But what I believe is that God's plan for your life is unique. It's not going to look like anybody else's because it was uniquely designed for you. The second problem: build through challenges, and the relationships you nurture as you navigate this life are things that cannot be rushed. Success is not about reaching a milestone. It's about becoming the person that you were created to be, whether you believe in God or whether you don't. Success is by becoming the person that you were created to be. Number 3, guys, the problem with this timeline is that you are constantly comparing yourselves to people who have achieved the things on the list before you. Maybe the things on those lists are not your purpose in life, are not the things that you were put on this earth to achieve. So let's say someone else's life looks like this, and then your life looks like something completely different. Solo traveling, exploring the world, doing something else with your life instead of raising a family and buying a home. That does not mean that you are not a successful human being. When you are constantly looking to somebody else or a stupid list to define success, you lose sight of your own calling and what brings you joy. I know this might be maybe a stupid video to make, but it is something I'm passionate about. So I do appreciate you listening thus far, and I do hope that you will continue to listen. And I hope that no matter what, you get something out of this video today. Even if this topic wasn't initially for you, I do pray that you get something out of it. As someone who lives with their in-laws and can sometimes feel like an unsuccessful loser, I do feel like this was an important video to make. So if this impacts you in any way, please leave a comment. Let me know what impacted you the most, and I would love to just hear your story. Now that we've discussed why society's timeline just simply doesn't work, we stopped asking, what have I achieved in this life? And instead start asking, who am I becoming? Don't get me wrong, success is measured by what you do. Your actions matter. But it also is defined by who you are as a person, the goodness of your heart, how you treat others, how you nurture relationships, and the purpose you pursue, whether it's one thing or another. But as long as you are a good person and are doing the best you can be to become better, whatever better is defined for you, then that is how you define success. There are 4 steps that I want to outline in today's video that are going to help us redefine success. The first one
ઇન્ટરનેટ સોશિયલ મીડિયા પટેલ પ્રહલાદભાઈ સબસ્ક્રાઈબ કરો લાઈક કરો શેર કરો
as growth and not as an act of perfection. You are not a failure because you don't have everything figured out. Newsflash, no one really does. Even the people who portray this picture perfect life, they don't have everything figured out. In fact, some of the most beautiful parts in life is figuring it out as you go. True success is about learning and evolving. It's about asking yourself, am I better today than I was yesterday? And am I growing in my faith, if you have one, my relationships, and my character? I used to have this water bottle that I used to take to the gym, and I think it was just a more affordable one from HomeSense or Winners or something like that. And it used to say, progress, not perfection. And I feel like that's a beautiful reminder that perfection is not the goal, but progress is. Every small step that you make to go forward counts as success. Be clear about what your values are. What truly matters to you? Is it your faith and relationship with God? Is it spending quality time with loved ones? Is it using your gifts and talents to serve others? There are so many questions that could be asked. When your definition of success is rooted in your values, it is no longer about chasing society's expectations. Instead, it becomes about building a life that reflects what's truly important to you. For example, if you value relationships, success to you might be prioritizing family dinners and getting together with your family once a week. If you value creativity, it might look like carving out more time to spend on pursuing your creative projects, even if it and by finding joy in the present moment. Another key part of redefining success is realizing that it's not something you achieve someday. Success is about finding joy and purpose in the present moment. So often we tie success to a certain milestone. And I'm guilty of this. I've been guilty of this my whole life. Even in the past year, I have tied my success or my feeling of worthiness to the milestones that I wish to achieve. Some examples, when I get that in my relationship with my husband before we were married. When I'm married, I'll finally be happy. When I'm married, I'll finally be successful. Newsflash, these things don't define happiness. They can be a source of happiness and joy and purpose, but it isn't the sole indicator of your success as a person. So yes, a lot of us speak about these milestones like, if I reach this milestone, I'll be successful. But what if success is already here? What if it is in the little things, like the conversations you had today, how you held yourself, the amount of love and care you give to others, or the peace you feel when you're aligned with God's plan? Again, that might not be for everybody, and I totally centered goals. We should redefine success about how we are serving others. What I have found is that true fulfillment comes not from what we get, but by how much we give. And I'm not talking about monetarily. I'm talking about how much we give of our time, our love, our attention. There are 3 questions that I would like us to reflect on in this section today. And the one is, how am I using my gifts to bless others? Am I building other people up or competing with them? And how can I leave a legacy that impacts other people beyond myself? When you shift your focus from personal gain to serving others, you will find a deeper sense of purpose that no promotion or achievements or material wealth can offer. When we feel pressured by society's timeline, it's easy to believe that if we haven't achieved success by a certain age, then we've lost.
ઇન્ટરનેટ સોશિયલ મીડિયા પટેલ પ્રહલાદભાઈ સબસ્ક્રાઈબ કરો શેર કરો લાઈક કરો
Make an impact. There are fashion designers in the world, but before that, she was a figure skater and a journalist. Colonel Sanders started KFC. Let's take Moses for an example. He led the Israelites for hundreds of years, it seems like, but that's still old. Like, imagine an 80-year-old man today leading a group of people out of slavery. Julia Child, she published her about how quickly you achieve something. It's about persevering, trusting the process, continuing to try, and stepping into your calling when the time is right. And that differs for every single person. Her stories also point out two very important truths that we can't ignore. Number one, you're never too old to start something new. Number two, every stage of life holds potential for growth, contribution, and impact. Reflect on your own life. What right now? I want to learn how to figure skate because I think it's a beautiful sport. I loved watching figure skating growing up, and Ice Princess, you know that movie with the figure skater where she learned to figure skate? I always see these videos on TikTok of these figure skaters going to public rinks and twirling around and looking beautiful, and that's something I would love to learn. Do I know how to skate just on its own? No, I am not a great skater, but it is something I'd like to learn. And I no longer think age should be an indicator of what I am willing to try and to achieve. One of the best things that we can do for ourselves is letting go of the pressure. And it's not even society putting the pressure on us. Sometimes it's just we're putting the pressure on ourselves to live up to society's timeline. And I don't know about you, but that pressure can feel so suffocating. Like a constant voice in your head saying, you aren't doing enough, you're not successful enough, you're not going to be able to retire when you're 60 years old or however old I'm going to be when I retire. But we need to shift our mindset. We need to shift our focus away from this because success is not about living someone else's timeline. It's about